All right, man. Woo! Look at those fireworks.
We're
Happy
live.
Happy Sunday. Alan, I almost didn't make this one. I almost didn't make that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Guys, we got a jam-packed, super informative show today. We're going to have our first special guest. I'm very excited about that. Hold on one second. Yeah, man. I'm Michal Alan for Travel Costa Rica Now, and that's Alan Ricard. Not to
Rashard.
be Richard, not to be confused with Richard. Good Lord. From living in Costa Rica. How was your week, man? I can't wait to talk about mine, but how was yours?
Hey, mine was pretty good. It was kind of just the norm. A day in the life of Alan in Costa Rica, enjoying Pura Vida life, man. No complaints for me.
All right, man. So let's talk about me because I just got in last night at about 1:30. Okay, so I want to preface this show and kind of say what's been going on lately. So a lot of people know I was out with at my mom's in Portland, Maine. Her partner / boyfriend of 37 years passed away at 97 years old. Everything is good, man. They had a great life. All the brothers were up there. And, can't help. You just can't help to start thinking about getting older, dying. Now, although my mother's in very good health, we did notice some quite a bit of forgetfulness, but more than that, you just kind of go, okay, we got to make plans. We got to make plans. You got to be proactive versus reactive in this situation. And a lot of people don't like talking about that kind of stuff. So that's where this podcast originated. And Alan was all on board with that. But I got a couple, I got a quick immigration story, Alan, and I want to say something that you were right about. So a lot of you guys know that I'm getting a permanent residency, but I haven't gotten it yet, and my cedula card expired about a month ago. Now, this is not the fault of the people doing my residency. This is immigration itself, just being slow. So when I came in, not only was I 14 hours at JFK yesterday at the airport, delay after delay after delay. Flew in at 1:30. I had to make a decision. I was like, do I use my residency card or do I go through the tourist line? Because my residency card is expired. So, and I didn't want to go through all that hassle of explaining the story to them. So I decided to go through the tourist line. And I did have an onward ticket. You know that one you pay for $15 and it's a real ticket that just cancels in 48 hours. So I was prepared. They never asked me, man. They never asked me. All they did, and you were right, Alan, here's the hack. If you're going through as a tourist, you better know specifically where you're going. Do not say, I'm just going to travel the Pura Vida in Costa Rica and travel around. They may not let you in on that. That's not what they're looking for, guys. You need a specific address. Like I'm going to Manuel Antonio and staying at Hotel Gaia. You better be specific. That's the only thing they cared about. They never checked my outward bound, within the 90 days or whatever. Again, I did have that. It's kind of fudge, but I did have it. They never asked, and they did give me 180 days. The whole interaction lasted about a minute 30 seconds.
And important, real quick, keep in mind, every time I've gone through there, Michael, they are actually going on the computer and they're verifying the address I gave them is a legit or real address.
Yeah, when I said La Fortuna, he goes, be more specific. And of course, I lived there. So I said, Barrio Pilo, Calle 321. And he was like, okay. But anyway, it was, I always get like a lot of people, even though I've lived here for 18 years, I still get stressed, man. I don't know why. I was stressed. Do I go through the national line and say, hey, I live here, but I'm a little expired. And I swear I have I'm going to do this. I was going to go that route. And I said, last minute, I said, no, let's do this the easy way. And I was just my first time into Costa Rica and do the tourist thing. So it was seamless, no problem, and I was very happy. So after a super long day, I didn't get to, I'm doing this. I'm not even in La Fortuna right now. I'm actually in San Jose at Colors Resort. It's a gay resort, but everybody comes here. It's been here for like 30 years. been here like, I don't know, 100 times or whatever. But so I'm in San Jose, and I'm going to actually be able to go home later today. So I'm pretty happy about that. It's been about 2 weeks. And I see our special guest is lurking. Alan, I see he's lurking there in the background.
Yeah, he's in the background. And so, we're getting ready because, keep in mind now, look, just to reemphasize, today we are talking about, hey, what happens when you get old like Michael in Costa Rica, or you're on your deathbed, because like Michael said earlier, people don't like to talk about sometimes. But hey, like someone said here, yeah, we got to address the elephant in the room. What happens if you stinking just die and they find your body a few days from now? What actually happens, right? So anyway, Michael's going to introduce our special guest.
Alan, you went a little south on that. I thought you were gonna what if they start decomposing in 2 days and we don't even know who it is anymore?
Dude, I mean, I live so remote that could happen.
Okay, so actually, right out the gate, I'm going to ask him. I'm going to ask him that question: what happens when let's say you're not even a resident, maybe you're a tourist, you have nobody, no family, and you die here, or you're getting old. What we'll start with those services and what you can expect and what can't expect, and with let's announce our special guest. Some of you know him. He's one of my better friends, although this morning I almost had to cut his ass off because he was late for this podcast. So let that be a strike against you, Johnny. Johnny from our medical dental tourism guy, but he knows a lot about this stuff. So we're going to ask specific questions. Everyone say hi to Johnny.
Hey, welcome Johnny. We're so glad to have you here today.
Hey guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you look like, did you just wake up by any chance?
No.
Hey, we can't start. Hey, we can't start this podcast off lying now, can we? I think somebody was drinking. I think somebody was drinking tequila last night.
Okay, so real quick before we get started, Johnny, because I believe that probably most of Michael's people have met you before, but I'm sure there's a lot of people because I've yet to had a chance to interview you. So Johnny, before we get started on talking about dying and getting old in Costa Rica, just real quick, just a quick 2 or 3 minutes. Tell our viewers here how long you've been here, what brought you to Costa Rica, and why are you doing what you're doing right now?
Well, thanks, Alan. Thanks, Michael. Costa Rica brought me. I was looking for peace from the corporate world. I worked in the healthcare industry for over 20 years in the U.S. on the IT side. I'm a network engineer, but on the healthcare side, when I found that Costa Rica had a need for health tourism, I originally started with senior living. But what happened with that is it took a big twist. I met a lot of doctors, and they said, well, you can do this, you can do that. And we just jumped into a lot of areas. So that's where we're at now. And plus I married a Tica. So that helped a lot too. That's in a.
Well, your family's here. I mean, your family is from Costa Rica. I mean, you grew up in the States, but I mean, it's not right.
Yeah, I grew up here. Well, no, I grew up in the States, and I came here, as a kid. But I never thought I'd be coming here this early on, because I'm not quite as you, Michael. I'm not quite as young as you, Michael. And then Alan, of course, he's the young guy on the block here. So it's more of a. For me, I thought I'd be coming at 65 or something, but I'm blessed enough to be able to help a lot of people here and help them with their medical tourism or their healthcare here as a whole.
All right, so I know we've talked a lot. I've done a lot of videos with Johnny. We've talked about a lot of different things. Why don't we kind of jump into those those burning questions, though? And I'm going to use an example of somebody I know that this is happening to right now. The lady that lives in Fortuna is about 85 years old. She's going a little south as far as mental capabilities. She has family, but they're not involved. They don't want anything to do with her. She does have money, and she did have a residency, but I guess hers just expired too. Now, a couple questions on that. We can hit them both. One, what would happen to her if she was to die? I don't think that's going to happen. And the second one, the second one would be, what kind of, can she get services? Would they help her? She is kind of going south mentally, and that's kind of what all her friends are concerned about, that she's maybe not making the best decisions. So let's start out with those two questions.
Well, yes, as a human being in Costa Rica, you're going to get taken care of, whether you're a resident or not a resident. You're here, they're going to take care of you. To the extent of what they're going to take care of you, that's sometimes what comes into play. So, yes, if something happens to her, they will take care of her. It's just in the manner that's being taken care of. If something happens to her, there's got to be somebody that comes in, takes kind of control of that life. Think of it as a tutor or a guardian, like one of you guys that know her, takes care of her, and calls that doctor up to come help her through that whole process. Now, if it's dying, it's called a physician to come help with that. If it's just living, then she has to kind of sort of you talk to authorities, and the authorities start helping her out, getting her affairs in order, and her. If there's something going on, there's laws that protect seniors very much here in Costa Rica.
So the government will get involved if she's losing her her mental capabilities.
100%, they'll get involved. They just got to get informed. It's basically there's a whole branch that handles that section, and as long as somebody raises up a flag, they get involved.
Now, she happens to have money, so it's not like a money thing. Is it ever a money thing?
It's always a money thing.
Well, okay, you're right. Yeah. Okay. Expand on that.
The only difference is that whoever's who's taking care of her, he does the right thing and moves out with in a direction to get her somewhere where she needs to be, in a senior living facility that can take care of her, that somebody that can guide her. But she also has to be a little bit willing. So sometimes seniors at that age are not so willing. So you got to get them a little bit early before they totally go out, so they can sign off those rights to be a guardian.
Okay, so Johnny, help us out here so that we can be crystal clear on what's going on. So I know we talked earlier. So let's put this in the scenario. So and let's use me in this scenario since I have a wife that's here. Okay, hey, she gets up one morning, bad news. I've had a terrible heart attack and I've died in my sleep. Right? You got a lot of couples here. They're retired. What happens when a spouse, when someone dies? What should be the first thing that retired couple or that foreign couple that's here? What's the first? Wake up, your spouse is dead. What's the first thing that person should do?
Well, they should call 911, but they should get a local physician to come basically pronounce him or her dead. But under circumstances that are, that nothing went wrong, that they just kicked it. Because what happens is that doctor announces that person, hey, you know what, he passed away under these conditions, and so on. That's the first thing that you have to do.
Hey, before we go forward, Johnny, check and see. We're getting a lot of feedback on your end. I think you got to turn the speaker off on the camera. You probably, the audio is probably playing on your monitor or something. But we get a lot of background noise, and I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to pinpoint where it's coming from.
Is that better?
Now, I can't hear you, but
see, I can hear him. I'm not really getting what everybody else is getting, so I actually do hear him. I'm not But
Yeah.
that's the problem. Everyone's is using different phones and computers and speakers and not speakers,
Yeah, and I'm
earphones.
getting background noise I don't normally get. But hey, let's continue on. So back to that question. So the most important thing, obviously, you're going to call 911. 911 is going to address the situation, and then they're going to send out a medical doctor that is going to say dead or alive.
Right. It could be a doctor that they send or a doctor that you call. It doesn't have to be their doctor.
Once that doctor arrives and says and pronounces that person dead, now that person has got to decide, okay, you can have a funeral in Costa Rica, or they may be deciding, well, hey, I don't want, he's not going to be buried here. I want to bury him with my family back in Louisiana, or back wherever I'm from. Okay, so let's just address the first one. He decides he's going to get buried. Maybe they've already decided, and they're going to get buried in Costa Rica. They already have a plot. What is the normal routine of what happens in Costa Rica as far as they get ready to bury somebody?
Well, it depends. There's a few things that you got to take into factor: religion, what their beliefs are, how it's going to be done. Particularly in Costa Rica, Catholics and Christians, they do it differently. Sometimes both Catholics and Christians, they'll watch over them the night before. But what happens is that they'll usually, a lot of them will stay at the house. They'll stay at their home. People will come there, and the very next day, with funeral service will be already set up. But this is something that, Alan, not everybody does this. Not everybody has things ready. I think some of us don't always think that we're going to pass away, but it's a big thing to make sure that you have things ready prior to. Like not everybody wants to get put out and just let everything happen and have somebody else have to figure it out. Now, if you're going to go back to the U.S., there's also special charter flights that also make it back to the U.S. You're going through cargo. But that means that you have to prepare the body prior to going. Make sure that everything is done. So that's also another thing that should be done.
Who's paying for that?
You are.
And if you can't pay for it, are you buried in Costa Rica?
Yes.
Do they cremate you?
No.
Or will they bury you?
They'll bury you. Actually, in Costa Rica, being buried is a lot cheaper than being cremated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the opposite from what we're used to in the U.S.
Well, I'm kind of bummed about people having a hard time hearing, I got to tell you. I'm not sure I'm hearing everybody fine, so I'm not really sure what the problem is. So,
it's the background noise. It's kind of lower now.
Yeah, like you. I don't know what the deal is here, but we have got to figure this thing out. I just adjusted my audio here, so my audio might be a lot louder at this point. But anyway, at this point, Johnny, whatever you're doing looking forward is a lot better. But anyway,
I do want to say something clear. It's not always us, guys. Sometimes it's what you're listening on also that can't be helped. I've noticed if you're listening to with earphones on a phone, that can do background noise. That can pick up more background noise. So a lot of times it depends on the system they're using, or people watching it is to hear, because it could be 90% people hearing great, and there's a few that just I don't think whatever we did would hear it very well. So I'm not sure.
All right. And Johnny, you need to unmute your mic. Okay. So anyway,
no problem.
All right. So anyway, so if you don't have the money, you're going to get buried here. Now, I do have a question here. And this is a real life scenario here. So I know someone that says, hey, when I die, I don't want anybody to claim my body. And they got some kind of strange thinking that's going to be their last ditch, they want to cost Costa Rica something. It's kind of a little bit nuts, but let's say that you are stinking 80 years old, and yeah, you do die, and someone says, "Hey, I'm calling." 911. The guy's died. Okay, but he doesn't want anyone to claim his body. He does have family, but the family is way off. What happens in that scenario?
Most Costa Ricans will take care of you. You give them your last wishes, and they're going to fulfill them. That's really what's going to happen. They're not going to call. The only thing that actually automatically happens if you're a U.S. citizen, the embassy's notified.
Whether you're a resident whether you live here or you're a tourist, that kind of goes.
Whatever country you're a national from, they're notified because of the fact that you are passed away.
So the first thing is they're gonna find out your nationality. They're gonna notify the embassy. Okay, and then no one has claimed your body. So then, what does Costa Rica do with it?
They'll put it into a funeral, a burial site where they put people that are unclaimed.
And so anyway, they put it in an unclaimed site, and you're just buried. No tombstone, no headstone, no, you're just there.
That's it.
Well, let's fix this problem. So let's maybe tell people what they need to do so this doesn't happen to them or somebody they love. So I'm assuming anything you do legal, you're gonna have to have it in Spanish. So you probably need to get an attorney with your will. Do a will in Spanish. Well, you let me know. You tell me.
That's correct. You have to have a will that's written in Spanish for it to be legal. In Costa Rica, when your documents are not in Spanish, although it's great to know what you're writing, you have to write a version in Spanish that which is notarized by a notary doctor here, a notary lawyer to make sure it's legal.
Are the wills basically set up the same as they would be in the States, where you're allotting the monies, property, and all that kind of stuff? Pretty similar to what we would do in the United States or Canada or whatever?
It would be, but the only thing is that if those properties are inside corporations, that you need to start putting those people inside that corporation because of the fact that you don't want to go into probate.
Okay. Wait, say that again. I think that's an interesting. Say that again.
So if a property is in a corporation and you're giving it to somebody, you should write it inside the corporation notes that this property is going to be there. And if they are a family member, it'd be a good time to give them shares. That way, the property doesn't go into probate. And actually, when the person passes, it automatically transfers over.
That's a kind of an important point, I think, because a lot of people put almost all theirs. When I first got here 18 years ago, the thing was make a corporation for everything: your house, your car, everything was a corporation. I think that's gone out a little bit since they charge that yearly fee and all that kind of stuff. Well, you explain that, I guess.
You know what? I'm glad you bring it up, Mike. Yeah, they charge that yearly fee, but we pay fees in the U.S. and wherever we live for anything that we have. I think to have a protection over your assets in somewhere where it's a benefit. You know what? Yeah, it's a $200, $300, but it gives you orders. So sometimes you're running down the street, you hit somebody, they're not taking your assets because you don't have any in your name. So those are the benefits that you can get from having a corporation. You hit somebody in the car, they're not going to take all your assets, because if the insurance that you have on your car doesn't cover what their injuries are, they're going to go to your assets to cover that claim.
Right, like that would be like the States, right? I mean, pretty much that's the same kind of principle, I think.
Correct.
So, Alan, you got a question?
So, back to what he was saying, the most important thing, yes, you do have to have that will. That will does have to be in Spanish, and it does have to be notarized, okay? And a question that did come in is, okay, so I already have a will. It's in the United States. Do I have to get that will in the United States apostilled, or do I just bring that will over here and generate a new will that's Spanish and get that one notarized?
That's correct. You have to generate a new will because the fact your will in the States has no legal bearing here in Costa Rica, so it has to be rewritten. Has to be rewritten in Spanish and done by a lawyer here because your will in the States means nothing. You have to do it in both countries.
You know, I wish more people would be proactive in this. I don't think they understand how complicated this can be when they don't do their due diligence as far as, you know, getting a lawyer, getting a will, especially if they're going to live their last days here. But the problem is, like my friend in La Fortuna, I tried to let her know 5 years ago when she had more of her faculties, but now she's getting confused. She's accusing the bank of, I had $1 million and they took it, just stuff that's not true, but she's confused and she doesn't know. And now it's, she can easily be taken advantage of, which is also sad to watch. We've already seen it, just real quick. Last week, she withdrew $25,000 from her account and bought some kid a car. For real.
All right. And this is a good time because it's like you said, Alan. I wish more people would be proactive, but I think a lot of people just simply don't know how important it is to actually have an attorney in your court. So, folks, right now, look here within just a couple of weeks, if you're serious about living in Costa Rica, if you're thinking about it, or if you're in Costa Rica and you need this information, the best thing that you can do for your life and in order to be prepared is to come to one of our Costa Rican relocation retreats. Got the next one coming up just a couple of weeks. There's only a few seats left. But, the most important thing is you're going to get to meet contacts like Johnny. You're going to get to meet attorneys that we have already vetted and we that we trust, that we actually use. None of these people are going to try to sell you anything, and they're not allowed to sell you anything. It's just to educate you so you get asked these questions that you're asking today. Hey, because you practically got to have an attorney for everything. So make sure that if you're thinking about coming to Costa Rica, and look, Michael and I say it all the time, our most favorite thing to do is hang around the pool, hang around the table, talk to you, answer those questions. So if you're interested, well, look, the next relocation event is within a couple of weeks. Make sure to look in the description below, either underneath my channel, underneath Michael Allen's channel, so that you can sign up for the next event, which is in just a couple of weeks, so we can answer all of your questions. So, hey, absolutely, the most important thing you can have is an attorney. Have that will already set up, because that will is what Costa Rica is going to use to determine what's going to happen with the stuff that you own. Because if you don't have a will, and you don't have someone that's inheriting your property, where does your property go, Johnny?
The state.
Costa Rica is going to claim all of your property, and your family, you might have $1 million property, you ain't getting squat. And of course, since you're dead, it don't matter.
That was a good one.
If the state gets it, or that intelligent friend of yours that know that you passed away, that you didn't do nothing, that could get that property. You know what? You worked hard for your money. You worked all your life, and if you have some loved one that you care about, that you want to give it to, do it. Don't wait till the last minute, because then you don't have that time. You're not going to be there to tell them that's not what I wanted. If you didn't tell them, it won't happen.
Well, just out of curiosity, just so we can get like we always talk all the time about how the culture here in Costa Rica, they revere their older people, man. They just do. And I was wondering, so are they usually prepared for their deaths? Are they on top of things, or are they like the United States where last minute, or they don't have a will, or how's the Chico culture handle this as far as, death?
I will tell you, it's an 80-20. 80% of the population is always prepared. They always have family plots, family areas. I'll give you experience from mine. Our family has plots already bought where we go. Most people have those already set. And as they get older, they already have it either paid or in process of paying, just like the U.S.
Can I donate my body to science? I'm serious.
Ahead of time, yes.
So I can have like I want to be a cadaver like nurses would work on or something. I can do that. I'm not being funny, by the way. I'm very serious about this.
I know you are, Michael. I
Well,
hate.
do they do that here? Do they do that here?
Yeah, they would. But you're not leaving anytime soon. You know that, right?
I don't. I had a bad day yesterday. No, I'm just kidding. I just wondered that. Go ahead.
You're not leaving.
So let's go.
Go
We covered a whole lot of topics on when people die, but hey, hopefully, there's a lot of people that say, once they do get to that age where they're not remembering stuff and they're really getting, I think a lot of those people are going back.
Uh-oh. Did he freeze up on you?
Yep, he froze up on me.
You know what? Let's go to something else real quick. Let's do beforehand.
All right, we had just a short buffer there with the internet. Anyway, if you are getting old, or if you need a walker and you need a wheelchair, and you're not yet in Costa Rica, but you want to come, keep in mind that there's, Rebecca and I, we've lived mostly in remote areas. Okay. There's not sidewalks everywhere. There's sidewalks hardly nowhere. Okay. And so if you are coming and you know that you're in a walker, you need a wheelchair, it's probably going to be important for you to live a good city where they do have a few sidewalks, because the majority of cities I've been in don't have them. So it's important for you to know, in the United States, we're spoiled. We're used to sidewalks being everywhere. We're used to, ramps, on ramps, off ramps, all that on the sidewalks. But that's not the case in Costa Rica. It is getting a little bit better. But if you have trouble with mobility issues, the best place for you is going to be in the San Jose or metropolitan area. Do you agree, Michael?
I totally agree. I have a friend that's paralyzed from the neck down, and she's got one of those Cadillac wheelchairs, electric, and does wheelies and all that kind of stuff. And she's in Fortuna. She actually drives it down the street because of the now it has, like you said, I want to say La Fortuna's gotten way better in their infrastructure as it goes to sidewalks and stuff. But she rides it right down the street because of that situation. So if that
Absolutely.
tells anybody anything, it's something seriously to consider for sure.
And that, that is normal in Costa Rica because they practically have no sidewalks in most places. I've seen lots of Ticos who have mobility issues, and they're in a wheelchair, and it's usually a motorized wheelchair. And yes, they're going down the stinking highway in their motorized wheelchair because they just obviously don't have any other choice. So yeah, I'm looking right down here. Randall Brady says, "Hey, I walk with a cane in limited range." Okay, as long as you can get around, great. But nowhere in Costa Rica is it going to be a lot easier for you. So you're not going to have a special on-ramp to get on the public transportation. It is going to be more difficult. So the best thing to do, if you have, depending on your flexibility and your ability to get around, best place for you is going to be inside the city somewhere.
I want to go a little proactive for a minute, and I don't want to sound like we're selling anything because we're not. But Johnny, go over some. Let's go over some proactive, like insurance type stuff, like some things to consider. What they should be thinking of. Do they keep this coverage in the United States? Is it good for here? That basic. Obviously, everyone's got their own needs. They got different stuff. But what are some of the considerations they should be thinking about if they are going to be living in Costa Rica when it comes to like medical insurance, catastrophe insurance, talking about death and all that kind of stuff. So if you could maybe generally speak on that.
No problem. Well, let me tell you this. I'm going to hit this subject. I'm going to start it off with, when you're living in Costa Rica, healthcare, insurance, and everything is that you need to decide exactly where you live at to make sure that those services are available for you if you have certain chronic conditions, and that's available. So living sometimes by the beach is not the best idea when you have a disability or things like that. So just be careful when you're choosing a place that you go to experts like Michael and Alan to have them
advise you, hey, you know what, is this area right for me, for my healthcare? Now, with the insurance portion, I'm not going to be, I'm an advocate for health, not for insurance. So if you manage your health in such a way, you can get away with not having to have insurance all the time. What I mean by that is this, is that maybe you're coming from the US, how you're going to live here. The catastrophic insurance, I highly suggest you buy it in the US, because when you come here to Costa Rica, it is a little bit more expensive. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to have regular insurance, that's also going to be a different expense. So if you can keep it. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hack. If you have it from the US and you're asking your provider, hey, you know what? I'm going to be in Costa Rica in this exact way. I'm going to be traveling in Latin America and I need some health insurance. Okay, as long as you do not stay in the country for more than 180 days or 120 days, you can have this insurance as long as you come back. And I know you're traveling, but back to the US and back out. Things like that. Those are insurance policies that exist out there that'll cover you fully. That's if you are, I guess, as an American, we're indoctrinized that we need to have health insurance all the time. Sometimes, if you just manage your health, because Michael, you know, you're strong as a horse. You guys are great. You guys are not going to the doctor, but you're taking care of yourself. You're being proactive in preventative health care. And preventive health care here in Costa Rica that we also provide, you can get for reasonable rates and not have to have insurance. So I'm not telling you that you don't need it all the time. So there is instances that you may need it, but it's not the same way that's in the US. Paying for chronic conditions or going every week. Sometimes those things is better to be left out of pocket and save the big things for the emergencies, the real things. Now, in combination with this, you should also have traveler's insurance. A lot of people do not use traveler insurance. Traveler insurance is you have an accident. I fell, I hit my head, I'm covered. It's not for major emergency. It has to have, and some travel insurers do cover, but most of them don't. But they have a time limit, so you got to be careful on that.
So why do you say catastrophic? Why are you kind of an advocate of catastrophic?
Because catastrophic is they're single rates. Basically, they'll cover you between $1 million and $3 million, and they can give you the option to go back to the U.S. if that's what you want. So they'll take care of you, the best hospitals, they'll fly you back because I don't know if you guys know, but a flight from Costa Rica back to the US on a medical plane is between $25,000 and $35,000. That's one way.
Yikes. So it sounds like the insurance is because a lot of people, obviously, if they're going to live in Costa Rica and they're older, they're probably going to get their residency. They're going to have to put into the CAHA, which is the socialized medicine here. So it sounds like it's going to be just depending on them and where they're at with their health, kind of a mixture of I'm going to use the CAHA in Costa Rica for this. I'm going to use United States maybe over for this. I'm going to, you know what I mean? Right?
For sure. There's actually a program called Medicina Mixta. It's mixed medicine in Spanish, which is a combination of private insurance here in Costa Rica with public insurance. And the way it works is this, and there's a few areas that it covers. It covers the area from getting your imaging done with a doctor on the private side, but your imaging gets done on the public sector. So you can combine it. That's usually what people do. Now there's other insurances. Well, I'm going to call it subscription discount like MediSmart that give you a discount on their services. So you also get that. So it's a mixture of a different things depending on your needs or if you have chronic conditions. But again, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is that MetaSmart kind of like a cheaper urgent care?
It is a subscription-based service that is just discounted doctor visits, laboratories, and different services within their network that you can use. It is not insurance at no time. They never claim that. It is discount services within their network.
Okay. Prescription based, right?
Prescription, and it's subscription based, and it's also this service. You can only, when you sign up on it, if you ever get off of it, you're banned for a year not to use it again.
Oh, really?
They make you make sure that you stay subscribed.
Alan, what do you do? What's your I know me and you are probably on the same wavelength. We're probably more proactive in our healthcare as far as diet, physical stuff, keeping your mental acuity going and stuff. But what do you do? What's your insurance plan?
You know, I actually don't have an insurance plan because I simply don't believe in insurance. You know, for me, I'm planned. If I die right here, hey, Rebecca, you know, go fishing with me. Do whatever you want to. I really just don't care. But I know a lot of family members do care. I know that my family personally would like to have my body back in the United States. So, hey, you know what? I have money set aside, or will have money set aside, so that, hey, you know, if my family would be happier because my body is in a piece of dirt in the United States and Louisiana, okay, ship my body there. But personally, I really just don't care. But that's a different preference for each person, right? And it's important that you are prepared and know what to do. Because I am a veteran, well, let me back up a little bit. Because I'm a digital nomad, I'm forced by the country of Costa Rica to have traveler's insurance. So I do have traveler's insurance. And so I have traveler's insurance that's going to cover in case something happens. But eventually I will be a resident paying into the Caja. That'll be all the insurance I need. Because if there's anything important that happens, well, then I know that the Veterans Administration is going to take care of me. Okay. And so that's really the kind of plan that I've got, Michael. And of course, you know, I love to eat healthy and I love to exercise. So I plan on being here at least 300 or 400 years.
Well, I just want to let it be known now, if you do die tomorrow, I think me and Rebecca could keep this podcast going, maybe even do a little better.
I don't know what Rebecca's laughing about over there. What you laughing about?
The Rebecca Michal Alan Show. I see it.
Hey, would you still call it the Odd Couple? Or the Odd
No, because we only call it the Odd Couple because of you. You're the odd one.
I feel so much better now.
Does anybody have any specific questions they want to ask Johnny? This is a great time because you don't get this information very easily here. And why somebody maybe thinks of a question, since he won't plug it himself, you know, he does do medical and dental tourism here. So I'm personally going to look into TRT personally for me. I'm talking to Johnny about that. But if you're thinking about stem cell or liposuction or breast augmentation or dental implants or veneers, and you're thinking you might want to do it either in Costa Rica or Mexico, Johnny might be the guy that can help you on that. He didn't pay me for that, although he should, but he didn't.
Absolutely. Now take a look also there, George Bailey, because I've seen George Bailey say this before. He enrolled in a local ambulance service. Okay, so Johnny, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that if you know. So,
Sure.
Yeah, he enrolled in this local service. Tell us a little bit about it, Johnny.
I bet you that he probably enrolled into Emergencias Médicas, which is a service, ambulance service that has such a service like this. So what it is that you pay a subscription, just like anybody, like MediSmart. This ambulance service has an onboard doctor and also has an app that does telemedicine that helps people do these types of things. It's actually a really good service. The only thing about this service is that this service only covers you from Cartago a little bit past Santana. So between the GAM area, they only have a certain
so it's a limited range.
It's a
limited range where it's available. Because obviously there ain't no ambulance coming up to where I live. Ain't happening.
No. We want Rebecca, right, Alan?
That's why Rebecca should be on standby, because Alan could go out at any time.
Now, On a serious note here, Rhonda says, hey, I do have mobility issues, and many times I do walk with a cane, and I got a service dog, but in Costa Rica, I've just learned to fall down in style. And
Rhonda, that is not a good plan, Rhonda. That is not a good plan.
But in reality, Rhonda has got it right, because if you live in remote places like Rebecca and I do, when you do get older, you better learn how to actually learn how to fall down in style, learn how to fall down and get back up, because you might be somewhere in Costa Rica where there's nobody there to help you up. I mean, this next quote, I've fallen and I can't get up, is real in Costa Rica.
Yeah, but that style goes out the window after a while. You can fall down in style for only. This happened to me. I was walking down like a slight hill about a year ago, and I hit a little bump. And I like did this slow old man falling down.
Slow motion.
It was terrible. And I could feel myself falling down old style. It was so, I never did it before because I've always had good balance. I was sporty, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, man, this is sad. So you can fall down in style for for so long, and that's gonna catch up to you. So Rhonda, we need plan B, I think.
Michael, can you show us what falling down in style looks like?
No, because I don't do it anymore. It's not in style anymore.
It's the old school. It's the Michael Jackson Allen. Michael Jackson Allen.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this, Rhonda. You're falling down in style. Depending on part of Costa Rica, there's going to be people that will help you. It's not totally that you're going to be on your own. There are certain parts of Costa Rica that are very different, that will come into your aid. So people with disabilities, they're not always just going to be on their own.
Now, here's a really great question. Martin says, hey, does Costa Rica have specialized wills and estate attorneys? In the United States, you got a will. My brother ain't opening that baby up and reading a will. You got to have an attorney to open this thing up, and you got to have family and all that good jazz there. So tell us about that, Johnny.
They do have the attorney that has to handle a case has to be an attorney with a notary specialty. That's the person that does it. Now, there's people that dedicate to be estate lawyers, but it's not like the U.S. that you have 330 million people to work on these type of things. Here, it's only 5 million people, so not everybody specializes in just estates. But there are some firms that have sections for that.
Okay, here's another great question right here. And so Muka says, what if you're a veteran and you get full medical VA? Do you need to live near Central Valley or SEMA to get service? Or can you live as remote as I am as a veteran and still get service?
You can. This is the way it works. Depending on your provider, what agreement they have with the VA for TRICARE, it depends on what services you get. And it's not automatic here in Costa Rica. You got to get to the provider. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that one of the 3 providers, either Metropolitano, SEMA, or Biblica, each provider has their own method, their own agreement with the VA, how they process your claim. Now, this is done in a different way depending on what your service, if you're fully 100% disabled or if you have a disability, depending on your rating. So this has to be done at a time. So you're not going to just show up to Costa Rica, I'm a vet and I'm covered. You have to be entered into the program. You have to be each provider. So let's just say you live in Guanacaste. Guanacaste has Metropolitano. They have a service for them. But if you're not signed up with Metropolitano to the VA, then Clínica Bíblica don't have service there. So you have to meet the provider ahead of time. You start in San Jose and you figure out how you're going to get your service delivered, because you can't just expect to walk in the country, I'm taken care of, because there's a whole process to get approved. You don't know if your copay has to be handled, how that works, how the submittal form works. So you have to be prepared. It's something that we do. So if you're interested, we do that.
So you just don't come here and go, well, I'm a veteran. I got stuff. I get stuff. It's not like that. You have.
And I'll say hi. How you doing? I appreciate your service, just as I'm a veteran too. But it's not automatic.
So
Okay,
what would be just real quick? What would be somebody's first move? So they're a veteran. Let's say Alan just came. He is a veteran. What would be his first move to either figure out what he needs to do, or to? Is there somebody? Who do you contact? The Veterans Administration here? What do you do?
No. There's a Latin American administration that handles people that are out of the country, like Alan or like myself, but they go through somebody like me that gets them to a process, or the hospital itself. They have also an agent that also helps them through the process. It's not so. In Alan's case, Alan, how far are you from San Jose?
I am like 5 to 6 hours from San Jose.
Okay. What hospital are you closest to? SEMA, Biblica, or Metropolitan?
Well, I have no idea because I am so far away from San Jose. The closest hospital I would go to if I had an emergency would be in San Isidro. I would go to San Isidro, and that would be the closest hospital. That's still 2.5 hours away.
Rebecca, get ready. He's not even close to a hospital.
Yes. Rebecca, we get Rebecca. Yeah.
What was that new life insurance you bought the other day, Rebecca?
Well, in Alan's case, it's this way. Alan is so far from a provider. The closest hospital he's got is Las Americas in Pérez Celedón. That's probably the closest hospital. But they don't participate in the TRICARE system in the VA. So we either have to have agreement with the VA to use this third party as an authorized hospital, or he's got to go to San Jose. Because it's not like the U.S. that as long as you're 30 miles out of the VA center, you can just submit a claim. It's on a reimbursable basis. It's a whole process. You can do it, but remember, it's out of pocket. And sometimes, not all of. Well, we're not all as rich as a guy that the guy with the baldy hair.
Yeah.
He's got more money than you and mine. I think he can take care of it, but not always got that kind of money. Sometimes it takes to get $10,000-$20,000 all at once. Rebecca, you're going.
Okay, so I don't want to get too deep into the whole veterans things because I really want to bring Johnny back and have a dedicated chat just about veterans, because I've had lots of veterans ask me all kind of questions. So I don't want to really get deep into the whole veterans thing on this particular ones, but folks, I promise you won't bring Johnny back. But here is a question I do want you to clarify for us, Johnny, because I remember you saying that, hey, if someone dies here, your property's going to go back to the state. And Kim says her lawyer, I'm guessing that's in Costa Rica, told him that if there's no will, the property would automatically go to the parents. But I know there's a lot of attorneys here that will not tell you the truth because they're going to get that piece of property. What's the truth on the story here?
The truth is, if Ms. Moore, if you want the property to go to somebody else, the easiest way is add them as a shareholder in the property, and if something happens to you, it automatically goes to them.
So number one, your property needs to be in a corporation, and that person needs to be in that corporation if you want them to have it. But if you don't have a corporation, you'd better have a will that's in Spanish so that property can go to them. Because if not, I don't care what the attorney says, he's going to tell you whatever he wants to, because you're going to die and he's going to own your property.
Correct.
If he chooses to steal it.
I'm not going to say that I don't trust attorneys. I'm going to tell you that I trust the paper that what's written in the ink that says there, that's what you trust. You don't trust anybody with what your assets are. You put it in ink, add that loved one as a shareholder, give them one share. You're never going to control the whole thing. You give them a share. If something happens to you, you're okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to. Maybe you don't know the answer to this, but what is the answer to that, though? Would it automatically go to the parents if they're still alive? this is, you know what I mean? So, okay, we're saying what she should be doing, but it's not that. So what would happen? Do we really know, or is it a crapshoot?
This is a crapshoot because you're talking about, are the parents American, are the parents Costa Rican? Costa Rican parents can go to probate just like we have in the States and petition for that property because they are the next living relative. But you need to, don't leave it up to chance. Honestly, I'm not leaving it up to the lawyer told me this. That means nothing to me. It's what's in writing in your property. Add the property if that's what you want.
That is a very good tip, and more people need to listen to that. It doesn't matter what people are saying. It matters what's in writing.
Absolutely.
Yes,
if you don't have it in writing, and let me re-emphasize, it better not be written in English. It better be written in Spanish.
Yep.
And it needs to be, you know, it's got to have that notary seal on it. And it needs to be registered. Johnny, maybe you know the name of it because I actually spoke with my attorney, and you have a will and it has to be registered with, what is it registered with? When you have that will.
Registro Nacional.
Okay. So that will is registered with Registro Nacional. And so it is a legal document on file in Costa Rica that I think anybody can see. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. You know, it's in that section, but you, like I said, that young lady that asked, put your loved one inside the corporation as a shareholder. It will protect you.
All right. So, hey, here we are in the final minutes of this podcast. Hey, apologize about the audio issues. We're going to be working on this thing. I'm not going to blame it all on Johnny for coming late today. I'm going to say we're going to work on the audio issues, okay? But, hey, I appreciate all of you hanging in there. But if you do have a last-minute question about getting old in Costa Rica, about dying in Costa Rica, about taking care of my wife after I die in Costa Rica, now's the time to put the question in the chat box.
I think Johnny made up for his little faux pas in the beginning. I'm going to let him off the hook this time because we're friends. He made up for great information. I know everybody appreciates it. I appreciate it. So before you answer any questions, Johnny, thank you for being on our little Odd Couple Costa Rica podcast. We really appreciate it. You're very knowledgeable, and we love you for that.
Thanks,
Indeed.
Michael.
And I would highly recommend that if you are in this situation, you're needing to know about healthcare. You're needing to know about death. You're needing to know about veteran stuff. Well, the right person to contact is Johnny. You'll be able to get his information in the description below. But even better, Johnny is talking at the next relocation event that's just in a couple of weeks. Am I right there, Johnny?
That's correct. Yep. I'm blessed enough to be my mentor there, Michael, following his steps, you know, and getting to meet you guys. Well, getting to meet you, Alan, in person. I get to, well, is Rebecca coming too?
Yeah, Rebecca will be there. She's always my sidekick. She's always there to help me out, make sure that I look good, you know, because I can't get my black and black together.
Dude, if Rebecca's not there, he just doesn't work, man. He goes south. He gets mad. He's angry. He doesn't do his breathing techniques and his anger management like he's supposed to. Rebecca is his anchor. Without her, we don't even need him.
Well, you know,
I don't even know why I'm on this podcast.
Hey guys, I'm actually on my. I got to get out of here. I'm going home, man. It's been about 2 weeks since I've been home. I'm leaving right out of here for Fortuna. It's 3 hours long, and I want to get home. So, Johnny, thank you. Alan, thank you. Hey, everybody, for listening. I appreciate it. But I am out of here, and I will see you all next Sunday, where we'll have another probably great podcast. I think. Peace, guys. Gotta go.
Have a great one. Catch you later.
All right, Alan. Take care. You have a good time.
Johnny, have a great one, buddy.
Dude, take care.